Good evening, I'm Jeff Lyons. It is Sunday night, May the 24th here. Time for the 14First Alert Weather Show at 9 o'clock. And as always, I'm glad you're here. I'm in for Michael Fecka tonight. And we have some weather to talk about, some better weather for Memorial Day, which I'll get to here in a moment. If you have questions or comments, you can put them in on the 14 News Facebook page. Comment section. Look at that, we still have a little twilight out there even at 9 o'clock in the evening. Just a sign we are marching towards summer. I guess Memorial Day, kind of the unofficial or official start of the summer season, even though summer doesn't officially begin for a few more weeks. What I'm looking at here for tonight will be some partly cloudy skies, maybe a little patchy fog out there as a result of some of the rain and the dampness that we've had. It's looking pretty good for Memorial Day, to be honest with you. Temperatures should hit the lower 80s, and we will see more sunshine and generally dry conditions tomorrow. However, that unsettled pattern will return for the rest of the week, basically Tuesday into the weekend. No rain on the radar now, save one shower down here by Hebbardsville, and even that is just a tiny one there. Leftovers from some of that unsettledness that moved through today. We were just kind of gloomy, weren't we? It just never really wanted to clear out until about 4 o'clock. Then the sun managed to break through. Looking ahead, we should clear somewhat overnight. Now, as I mentioned, we may see some patchy fog out there. The atmosphere is very, very juicy, ripe with moisture. So bare minimum, we'll see some patchy fog, and that even though we're going to get down into the low 60s, the air will still kind of have that heaviness to it with the moisture. Here we go through tomorrow, Memorial Day, and for the most part we are dry all the way through the daylight hours. We have observances, of course, at some of the cemeteries around. Some folks are camping, swimming, what have you. It should be fine for outdoor activities tomorrow. Tuesday is a different story. Already we have a return of a warm front, and that's going to kick up some showers, maybe some rumbles of thunder Tuesday. Those showers lift to the north, and then we have just more kind of following in behind for Tuesday night and maybe again on Wednesday. Our model has really gotten on the rain bandwagon here, and it's showing maybe another inch of rain with those showers and storms that will be coming through Tuesday and Wednesday. So we are gradually chipping away at the rainfall deficit here for the month, and a little bit more so for the year. Not maybe too much, because we're getting farther away, of course, from those dry months. The current temperatures now near 70 across the tri-state, and we're showing 69 out the window right now. We have a clear sky overhead, or at least mostly clear. Lows this morning got down into the lower 60s, but we were able to rebound this afternoon to 77. And when I was up this morning at about 6, I thought there's no way we're going to hit anything much above 65, but it did. So we did warm up a bit, and we are basically even with where we were yesterday at this time. Our low was warmer than normal. Our high was a little bit off the pace there. 80 is the typical high here for the last full week of May. And we have a few 80s on there, of course. The month has been a little bit warmer than the average. And our last big rain was Wednesday, when we had about an inch. And before that, we'd had 2100ths and then an inch and 1800ths. So you couple those together, we've had at least 2 inches measured rain at Evansville Regional this week, a little over that. Many of you have had more, which is a good thing. That means for the month, we are now just off by about a half an inch. We have another week to make that up. Hopefully we will. And our temperature, I spoke wrong. We've been a little bit, believe it or not, cooler than normal by about 2.1 degrees on average here for the month. When you look at the big map, though, you can see a couple of features should jump out at you. One is the cold front right here, where you have kind of a clean, delineation between the high pressure back here in the clear air and the unsettled cloudy showers. But then notice too, we have more rain moving into the upper plains, and even a third round of showers here in the Rockies. So the overall pattern, while we have some calm and quiet there in the middle, is unsettled. We have high pressure over Missouri right now, And that's what will keep us mainly dry tomorrow. But it's the same thing that's going to turn the winds to the south and start pulling that rain back up on Tuesday. So, and that's been showing up for a couple days now. So I think Tuesday is going to be at least start out as a rainy day. And then once this warm front lifts to the north, we will be left in the warm sector, that warm, humid air that's just kind of ripe for showers and maybe some thunderstorms. The good news here is we don't really have anything to act on that warm air yet, so no severe threat in the coming days, but a few showers and some rumbles of thunder. Temperatures will stay at or slightly above normal all week. 84 will be the warmest day there on Thursday, and then we pull back slightly by the weekend as we get some rain in there too. I'm going to sneeze here at any moment. Hopefully, no, okay. I think I can make it here. We go through Wednesday with more rain. Thursday we dry out a bit, and then Thursday night and Friday some additional showers come in, and we have a chance of rain early Saturday. Now that's the GFS models thinking for us. And rain-wise, it's pretty generous with maybe another inch or so of rainfall, which is kind of in line with what I showed you there on our model. The European also bringing us wet weather again on Wednesday, and Thursday a little more to the south here as the GFS was, and then Friday night, Saturday, more rain still. So we are having a hard time shaking the unsettled wet pattern that we find ourselves in now. The European model also advertising healthy rainfall this week to the tune of an inch or more. So that bodes well. The farmers, I think for the most part, have the crops in. They're waiting for the rain, and we're getting it. I meant to mention too, the Ohio River will rise to about 31 feet by Thursday. It was at 25 today, I think 32 actually, or near that. If you have interest in the river bottoms, you probably already know the number anyway, but the point here is the river's going to come up pretty quickly and then fall quickly by next weekend because of the rain that we've had here in the tri-state and upriver. 63 for the low tonight, and then up to 81 tomorrow. A few isolated showers possible. More rain, the best chances here Wednesday, and then again on Saturday, Sunday. And each day other than that, we've got like that kind of boilerplate standard 20% chance of rain. This is interesting. The longer range temperature outlook actually pulls us back to average or maybe even cooler over the southern half of the tri-state, and we start to dry out as we move into June. This is Emma, Byron's biggest fan. I think Emma's watching the TV. I don't know. Maybe Emma's averting her gaze there. I'm not sure what's going on. But anyway, that's our pet pick for tonight. Keep them coming. We're kind of on thin supply of them over there on 14news.com. So if you've got a good picture you want to share, you can send it over. All right, let's check your comments here and see what's on your minds. All right. We've got Suzanne Daly's on, good evening. Cheyenne Hammonds is on, good evening. William Raleigh. Have a friend that wants to know how to get into meteorology without a degree. Any suggestion? Well, there's a lot of, William, there's a lot of information out there on the internet. That's good information. There's a lot of bad information out there too. But there are self-study courses. There's a great program actually that we use for continuing ed here called COMET, and it's out of UCAR, the University Corporation of America. Now, that was rumored to have been cut in one of the recent Doge or whatever it was, and so I'm not sure if UCAR is still offering its online stuff, but you can go there. The National Weather Service has a lot of interesting stuff that you can read and learn. The Storm Prediction Center does too, kind of tutorials and how-tos. Just a simple Google search is good. There's another terrific site called The Weather Prediction, all lowercase.com, and the meteorologist's name is Jeff Habe, and he is an instructor. I believe he's at Mississippi State University. But in any case, wherever he is, he's really excellent, and he has just a whole website, And if you want to learn how to forecast fog, you know, it has the decision tree and the parameters you need, and so it's stuff like that. So it's definitely out there, and it's free. And a lot of these, you know, people that go out and storm chase or track are self-taught, and it can be self-taught. At least, you know, general forecasting and weather observation and things like that. It gets a little hairier, and the reason someone would need a meteorology degree would be more in the scientific side of this, and this is not the scientific side. I mean, it is of meteorology, and we do apply meteorology, but you don't have to be a meteorologist to do my job. I mean, I'll level with you. I was not a meteorologist when I started. I had to go back and take classes, but it's better, of course. The more you know, the better. But on the science side of it, if you're doing, you know, theoretical stuff, if you're developing models, if you're into the technical side, radar and so on, then yeah, you do need the degree. But if you're just a weather enthusiast, you know, looking at radar scope and wondering if we're going to have a tornado, you can find a lot of good information, but you do have to be careful. I would stick to the .gov sites and .edu, you know, through the universities to get my information for that purpose. The College of DuPage is another good one. It's in Chicago, and they actually have a whole model suite that you can look at for free. It's called NextLab, Nexlab, and it has all the models, or most of them. I think the European, you only get 2 runs a day as opposed to 4, or maybe it's 1. But the other ones, the NAM, the HER, and stuff are in there. So yeah, go for it. Can't have too many meteorologists. Let's see here. Karen Duckworth, how much rain for Morganfield on Tuesday? That's a great question. I mean, looking at the models and what I showed you earlier, wouldn't surprise me to see at least, you know, half an inch, if not a little more, in Morganfield. Missy Spriggs, what will the weather be like in Owensboro? Is there rain tomorrow? Because I don't want it. I don't think there will be rain tomorrow, Missy. I think tomorrow will be the driest of the week ahead. So yeah, hopefully that lines up with what you're wanting to do. Angie Wampler, thanks for keeping us up to date. Turned out pretty nice in Vincennes. Yeah, you know it did. Some of you, especially north, the sun came out. I was shocked it didn't rain at the 500. I just assumed when I got up this morning and looked at the radar, and this was like it was at 6 o'clock, and there was stuff going, and I thought, oh brother. And it didn't make it. It kind of broke up. If you look at a long radar loop, it just, I don't know if there was a dome over the 500 or what, but it just kind of went around and left them alone up there. So that's a plus, because man, the 500, when it rains, well, you know, they can't race when it rains, and everybody has to sit in the stands and get mad, and I don't like that. Who would? Okay, I think I got everybody's questions here. Sam says, thank you. And Sam can email me too, William. Just email me, and I'll give him the links if there's a question. Just use my station email, jeff.lyons@14news.com, and I'll set you up, okay? I've done it for many people, and there are a lot of folks out there that are very interested, and knowledge is power. You know, you got to be patient. There's a lot to read and understand, and it's not, weather doesn't always work the way you think it will, at least the forecast side of it. Obviously, weather doesn't always work out the way you think it will either, even when you do forecast. But yeah, it's a fascinating field. A lot of moving parts to it. And speaking of moving parts, for Science Corner tonight, let's talk about how tornadoes form. And you know, there's new research coming in on this all the time. We have in Norman, Oklahoma, of course, you have the Storm Prediction Center, but you also have the Severe Storms Laboratory, NSSL, National Severe Storms Laboratory. And you know, maybe you've seen it if you cruise around on you know, cable or wherever. You've seen documentaries about like the Doppler on Wheels program, and they've got a whole host of research in the field that they do during the tornado season, and then they gather data and go back and we learn new things every year about tornadoes and other severe weather. But the basic gist of how a tornado forms is it's primarily due, I mean, you have to have the right atmosphere above it. The air has to be unstable usually, and you have to have some element of wind shear and lift, right, in the trigger. And wind shear is simply a change of direction or speed, or both, of wind with height. So say at the ground, the wind's coming from, we'll just say the southwest, but we go up here, you know, let's say 25, 30,000 feet, maybe not even that high, and instead of coming out of the southwest, the wind's coming out of the southeast. Well, you can kind of visualize it. You know, if you're a bubble of air and you go up, you would be moving this way, and then you would turn, right, as you encountered the other air. And so that's the wind shear that we're talking about. And it can be a lot closer to the ground. I just threw random numbers out, but it would be closer to the ground, and typically in conjunction with a thunderstorm, right, a supercell thunderstorm. You don't always have to have supercells to get tornadoes. We can have a low-top supercell. We can have tornadoes that occur within a line of storms where you don't have a supercell per se, but you have enough shear and other elements to create the tornado. Either way you want to slice it, you have to have that shear in some degree. And what that eventually can have cause to happen is you will get a rotating column of air. And then, as we know here from other science corners, a primary component of a thunderstorm, particularly a supercell, is the updraft. And when that air goes up, it then can rotate, right? If there's enough shear in the atmosphere, it's also carrying warm, moisture and energy into the storm, which is why you have thunder and lightning and everything. And then as it cools, remember it's very cold up there, it starts to come back down, and it kind of reinforces that spin. Well, in the updraft process, it can draw this rotating column of air up so that it then becomes vertical. And when that happens, usually the first sign is that you will have a rotating wall cloud that descends from the base of the thunderstorm. And if this thing really gets cooking, then you would get a funnel and eventually a tornado when it comes in contact with the ground. And that is a basic idea of how they form. Now, we get other kinds of tornadoes, gustnado, which often will occur on the front edge, not where you expect it. Normally in a classic supercell, the tornado would be down here in the southwest quadrant, assuming it's moving that way. But a squall line, you know, sometimes they happen out ahead of it. We have dustnados, which are not really coupled to a thunderstorm. It's basically a thermal, a rising column of warm air, like out on a baseball field or bean field or whatever. And it rotates and picks up dust, and usually they're benign. They don't hurt anybody, but they're impressive. We have what's the name for that? Not a pyrovortex. Well, anyway, it's a fire tornado. I had the correct word for it, and it has escaped me. But wildfires can create their own local weather in which you would have rotating columns of air going up. I'm not familiar with snownados. I haven't heard of one, or a sharknado, right? Let's see. But anyway, yeah, there's just a lot of different ways tornadoes can form, but that's the basis for most of them. William Raleigh says it's been a quiet year for severe weather in the tri-state. Yeah, it has been. And in the coming couple of weeks here, we'll talk a little bit more about this predicted super El Nino. El Nino is forecast anyway in the models to be a very strong one, much stronger than any of the more recent ones. And so nobody really is certain how that will affect the weather. Well, whether we will turn hot and dry here for the summer, if it will damp out hurricane development. There are a lot of question marks there. So, but that could be a factor in why we haven't had much severe weather. Of course, it's been dry, and typically our severe weather will come with storms, right, where we get rain. So in a drought year, typically you don't have these big, I mean, you could still have an outbreak day, if everything came together right, but just kind of widespread severe weather. You're right. We haven't had a whole lot of that this year. And let's keep it that way too, shall we? I just, I don't, okay, I think I got all the questions answered. We're never cheering for severe weather around here. It is interesting to watch and evolve, but it's always better at a distance, right? It's better when it happens in some other state and we can watch and predict and forecast. but we wouldn't wish, severe weather on anyone. And fortunately this year we've been lucky. We haven't had a lot here in the tri-state. Let's hope our luck continues as I knock on our Formica desk up here. I will see you on 14 News at 10. I'm assuming this NBA game will get off on time. If not, it'll be after the game. And let's see, who's on deck tomorrow? I don't know who's working. I think Arden's working tomorrow morning, maybe. I think that's right. Michael's off, and I think Byron is off for Memorial Day. And then I'll be here tomorrow evening. Either way, we'll have you covered. So thanks for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you on 14 News at 10.